Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we are diving into a Kallari guide. This one's going to be a fun one, and I actually put it off for a little bit because I actually just genuinely wanted to learn the hero and really lock in. But I've got like two solid builds that I want to go over. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and get through the kit. So we have Shadow Dance as the passive. This is Kallari's double jump, triple jump, where you can jump over walls and be super elusive. You have your basic attack, Crippling Dagger. This is going to be the ability that you want to max first. Throw a dagger, dealing 65 up to 145 base damage, with a 90% physical damage scaling physical damage and applying a 20% slow for 1 second. Monsters receive 80 additional damage, and you have 2 charges. The cooldown of this is 11 seconds down to 7 seconds when you're maxing it at a static 30 cost. Now, really important to know that you can apply Death Mark, your E ability, from over here on the Crippling Dagger. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Shadow Walk, this is your Q ability. After 1.5 seconds, Kallari enters camouflage, hiding from vision and moving 20% faster for a scaling 8 seconds up to 12 seconds. Her next basic attack in this state deals 60 flat damage up to 140 with a 30% physical scaling bonus physical damage. Nearby enemy heroes and wards reveal. Kallari attacking ends camouflage instantly. The cooldown of this goes from 8 seconds down to 4 seconds, so scaling this up actually makes you stay in stealth longer, and then we'll reduce the cooldown at a flat cost of 40 mana. And then the Death Mark empowers Kallari's next attack within 5 seconds to mark the first enemy hero or monster hit, increasing her damage against them by 15% after 3 seconds. The mark detonates dealing, or after 3 seconds, the mark detonates dealing 40 flat damage up to 160 plus 8 plus 8. And I'm assuming this is timed just based on the spacing. So 8 times 4% of your physical damage, or 4% physical damage scaling percent, so it's 8% of the targets. This is really worded really weirdly. Targets missing health as true damage and granting Kallari 50% decaying movement speed. This ability is kind of bloated, I'm going to be completely honest. Again, you can apply the Death Mark at range with Crippling Dagger, and this has a 20 second cooldown that scales down to 16 at a cost that actually scales up from 60 to 80. So again, I recommend definitely going into the dagger first and then into the Death Mark. I have seen some people's opinions that they like to scale up the Shadow Walk, but honestly, you could just get this in time, and you don't really need to stay stealth for super long, so getting this later on in the game seems fine. And then the ultimate ability is Guillotine. After a brief delay, Kallari dashes forward, cutting through all enemies in her path, dealing 170 up to 490 flat damage. And then this actually has physical scaling per the level, so 120, 135, 150% physical damage at a cost of 160 down to 60, or 120 down to 60, or cooldown 120 down to 60 at a cost of 100. So again, just to quickly touch on the kit and how it works. So yeah, you can apply Death Mark at range with Crippling Dagger. You want to max Dagger. I think you want to max Death Mark next, Shadow Walk last, and then of course Guillotine whenever you can. All right, let's go ahead and hop into the practice mode. I'm going to show you a couple of things, but most importantly, I'm going to show you the 2 builds that I like to run. All right, here we are in the practice area, and first and foremost, the 2 builds that I like to play on Kallari, the main 2 builds, are Assassin build and Crit build. So you have to make the choice between Marksman Crest or Rogue Crest. Now this pretty much leads the whole build off, and I will say for an Assassin focus build, I really like Nex and Witch Stalker, and for the Marksman build, I almost always go Liberator. It's really like, it's super important. So we're gonna take this. It doesn't really matter for the sake of illustration. We're gonna talk about the items for each build, and I can talk about the crest, but honestly they're a little bit self-explanatory. This is your cleanse that kind of empowers you. Next is like damage burst that has like the little dash on it, which is really good for executing. And Liberator on the crit build is so important because you're trying to do a lot of auto attacks, and if you get interrupted on auto attacking and self-sustaining yourself, then you're dead. So like playing into Richter, you want Liberator. Playing into a lot of CC, you want Liberator, so you can just continue your fight. So it doesn't really matter what we pick for now, but let's go ahead and talk about it. So since we picked the Marksman Crest, let's go ahead and grab some gold, and I'm going to talk about what build I like. So on this build is huge at just like getting in there and beating the shit out of things. Literally, you can rip objectives with this, you can split push with this, you can fight tanks with this. This build has a little bit more staying power than the Assassin build because it actually has some lifesteal and self-sustain. It has anti-CC with the cleanse from Liberator, which also gives you a shield. This is the, I want to get in there and fight, but you have to do it quickly and fast because you can't just sit there forever because you're still going to be really squishy. So the core build is going to be Mutilator, And so we should know what Mutilator is by now. I don't think I'm going to go over the item too much, but this is like your health steal, your ripping 1% current maximum health. You have Omnivamp, you have ability haste. This is really, really good. It has everything that Kallari would want except for pen on like a traditional Kallari build. And then you go into Sky Splitter. So these are the two shredding items. This is what starts the whole crit build off. And I really just like calling it an auto attack focus build, because you have the Omnivamp, the 1% shred, then you have the 5% of the current health shred, and this gives you attack speed, crit, physical power, life steal. So you're getting a lot of attack speed, crit, physical power, life steal out of these items, Omnivamp. So you're just healing yourself and you're really sticking in the fight and brawling. This again gives you tons of objective shred. After this, I essentially start transitioning the build into a build that will be more traditional to assassin playstyle. So right after that, I go into Vanquisher. Now, Vanquisher is really important because this is going to give you a lot of the stats that Kallari wants inherently, which is power and physical penetration. So this is going to start scaling your abilities up a lot more because you're going to start getting a lot more power out of it. 45 power, 10 pen, and then this gives you gain physical power equal to your maximum mana, which doesn't really matter. It's on there, it's great, but you have the Annihilate passive. So as you're chopping things down, as you're throwing your abilities, cutting through them, when they get low, they just kind of explode and die. Outside of this is where you have a little bit more room to go into pen items. So I really like Painweaver. This is like the core build right here. This is that I'm going to show off. I really like Painweaver. I think Dread's a great option as well because you can kind of like gain more sustain for yourself, and if you do execute someone, take somebody out, then you're going to restore a lot of health on the enemy hero, and then you gain more movement speed out of combat. I think this is just such a phenomenal assassin item. You won't want to pick up like a late Malady. I was doing that for a little while, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Deathstalker, Torment or Omen. Excuse me, where is Torment at? I forget. I always get this item lost. Whatever. Is that the item that I'm thinking of? No, Demon Edge. Demon Edge is actually really, really solid in this build. And outside of these three, I'm really still just open for building however you would like. But Demon Edge is actually really, really nice because it has the Desolate passive. So your physical damage ignores 35% of your target's physical armor. That's going to be when you're hitting them, but also your abilities as well. This doesn't have like flat pen on it normally, but you're essentially getting pen from Desolate. When you're above 40% maximum health, increase your total power. So when you start the fight off, essentially, you're doing a lot more damage. And then when you fall below, you gain 10% Omnivamp. That plays into the Omnivamp and health steal here. It plays into the life steal and kind of like shredding power. So this like gives you like a lot. You can really stay in the fight and really do a lot of damage. So last two items, I think Demon Edge is really good. I do think Omen is pretty damn solid. I think Painweaver is solid. I think Dread is really, really solid as well. I was messing around with Demolisher for a little while. I think it's pretty decent, but I think for the Desolate item, I just prefer Demon Edge. So not going to go with that or Perforator. Nightfall is just a little too late in the game to get it, I think. I want to mess around with this a little bit because if you do jump on the back line and you catch somebody isolated, you can just like shred through them really quickly and you gain more Omnivamp. So I might mess around with Nightfall a little bit more. But like I said, some of my favorites are Omen, Demon Edge, Dread, and Painweaver. And then you can kind of pick for that. So that's the like auto attacking crit Kallari because you're also going to get some of those stats from your Marksman Crest as well. All right. For more assassin-based Kallari, I really like Nightfall and I really like Malady. I really like Nightfall on Feng Mao, I think a little bit more. So for now, I think Malady is just, it's so snowball potential. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. It has 8 flat pen, 45 physical power, 15 ability haste, and then you have Parting Gift. Killing an enemy unit causes them to explode, dealing bonus physical damage to nearby enemies, 2-second cooldown. So this is good for clearing. And then Demise, dealing damage to an enemy hero that is below 40% maximum health, deals bonus physical damage, increasing by 10 with each activation. Takedowns reset Demise cooldown, 45-second cooldown. So you can actually stack this up and start building a lot of damage on this item. So it's a great first buy option. Outside of that, it's the same thing. You have all of these phenomenal pen items that you just want to start building. Now, I think the Vanquisher is incredibly strong for Kallari, especially because you're trying to just dive in there and blow someone up. So I think Vanquisher is a really easy second buy here. And then again, with a lot of these pen items, it feels the same thing with Feng Mao. You just kind of buy the one that you need in the moment. Like if you want to, like, I think Dread is super, super good. I think Painweaver super, super good. I look at these two items a lot and I never really know which one I think is better to get right away or faster. So you could go Dread, Painweaver, and then Omen. You could get Omen first. I do like Omen a lot because you just move and gain this next big spike of damage. It has really good ability haste. It's got flat power, flat pen on it. A lot of these items, if you look at the stat lines, they're really similar. You have 15 haste, 12 physical pen, 45 physical power. You have 45 physical power, 8 physical pen, 20 ability haste. So it's like the flat stats are very, very similar. 45 power, this has magic armor on it, 10 pen, and then some extra mana, which is, or mana regen, sorry. 45 physical power, again, 10 pen, 45 physical power, 8 pen, ability haste. So you can see that a lot of these items are very similar in the way that they are stat lined. And that's great because it's all the things that you want, and then you just have to pick what like passive you want. And honestly, I don't think there's like a golden path with this build. I would say like the core build for Assassin Kallari is Malady into Vanquisher, and then outside of that, it's like, do you need the Dread? Do you want to move faster? Do you want to build up that big auto, for Torment, where your next basic attack consumes it? You want to go into Painweaver? I think Painweaver is really, really good, so I would probably go Dread into Painweaver. And yeah, you just kind of go from there. And you can even go on Demon Edge with this too, because this is going to raise your power, so you're going to hit really, really hard. And then it acts like Pen with the Desolate passive, since we don't actually have a Desolate passive item. So you can do something like that. If you want to hit even harder on your first basic, you go Demolisher. This is a little bit more crit focused, so I'm not sure that I would actually use that, but maybe Perforator. So abilities deal initial 40% magic damage, or physical damage, sorry, against enemy heroes that generate with greater maximum health than you. And then this has the Desolate passive. So Perforator could be fine. There's a lot of these pen options. When you're playing assassins like Feng Mao and Kallari, honestly, just filter by pen, and that's how you want to pick it out. So we'll just grab one for now. And then we'll very quickly go over some mechanics. So let's get myself leveled up. I'm just going to put my points in everything that I have really quickly. Yep. All right. We'll turn the minions off. And really simple. Really simple kit. You have your dagger throw. You have your death mark. So you can see I applied that with the dagger. And then there's a couple of like little quick mechanical tips that you can do. You can auto Q auto, and that like just instant procs the Q damage. So like auto Q auto, and then you could do that with a dagger as well. So auto dagger, auto. So some really quick like little mechanical things. The only other thing I'll say is like just know the timing of your stealth. If you're about to step out of a fog wall, make sure you can dip into the wall right before. Don't step out of the fog wall, then they see you, then you go stealth, right? I do this a lot. Like pretend this line is a fog wall right here. I'll be running up to it, and as I step up to it, I dip like this, and then I step out, right? So just or just pause, right? But I don't know, for me it just feels like mechanically like just something you can do really quickly just to kind of keep yourself in it. And yeah, when you see this eye, you know that you're standing on a ward. You could use your sentry to knock that out if you're not standing on a player, of course. And that's pretty much Kallari. Kallari's kit is pretty simple. With the crit focus build, or like the auto attack focus build, you're really going to want to stick on them and then use your like evasiveness, your ultimate, and your jumping to get away from them when you're getting low. With this build, you really just want to like try to blow someone up really quickly, right? And you can see, that does a lot of damage really quickly. So there you have it. That's pretty much Kallari. I can't really illustrate the crest super well, but with Nex, build up some damage, dash through them, and then do damage with Nex. With Witch Stalker, use it to cleanse yourself, and with Liberator, use it to cleanse yourself. So Kallari, insanely strong, especially in solo queue. I think this character does have some competitive viability as well. Needs to be tested a little bit. People do play it, but I want to test it in competitive a little bit more as well in the different kinds of builds. And then know what your build can do. Like I said, with the auto attack focus build, you can really like sneak objectives, hard pressure objectives a lot more. This build, it's not quite so easy. So know what your build can do. Don't be afraid to try to push your advantage with Kallari. I think that's the biggest thing that you can do. If you do get an advantage with this character, invade jungle more. Go, find those kills. Don't become a farming bot with Kallari. So friends, hopefully this was informative. Hopefully this gave you some information, something to think about. Really quick recap. I would say the core build for assassin focused Kallari is like Malady Vanquisher, and then you can go into other pen items. The core build for marksman crest focused auto attack build is Mutilator into Mutilator, Sky Splitter, Vanquisher. I think Vanquisher's that good, and then you can go into pen items. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Drop a like on this video, subscribe for future Predecessor content. As always, be sure to kind of want to tell someone you love them, and I'll see you in the next video.